Good evening, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started here. And for those of you, this is your first time here, or you don't really know what we do, this is wordplay, and it's an open mic for poetry, spoken words, prose, just you talking. And the reason we call it wordplay is because if you remember when we were little kids, everyone could do everything. You ask a little kid, can you sing? They go, yeah, of course I can sing. You ask a little kid, can they play drums? Of course I can play drums. And somewhere along the line, like 5th or 6th grade, we stopped being able to do stuff. We started, oh no, I can't do that. People will look at me. I can't do that. People will look at me. And the idea is that we need to learn to play with words because everyone's got a story to tell. Everybody's got something to say that's good. And it's hearing what other people have going on and inside them is a better way to change the world than anything going on the news or on TV. Because you really hear what's going on. You really, it's real. So my name's John Holman, and we got a lot of poets tonight, and we got some people that haven't done it before, people that have done it for a long time, and if when you come up as a poet, if you'd like a beat, I brought my little teeny drum kit, and I can provide you with that, or a shaker, or some kind of music. And also, we are filming this for our YouTube channel, so some of you I know don't want to be filmed, because we're not going to film you. And others of you don't care one way or the other, so you just let us know as we go. And since I have to arrange all and everything, I can go first. It's pretty awesome. It's a brand new poem. We played with it for a couple months. It's called Reasons I Wear Hawaiian Shirts. I've seen those looks. People wondering why I wear bright flowered shirts, gaudy thin fabric in the middle of winter. My Midwestern friends cling to their polo shirts and football jerseys, whilst looking sideways at my extravagant fashion sense. In the interest of understanding, let me explain. I wear Hawaiian shirts because I'm not from here. I was born in Loma Linda, California. I grew up in Bend, Oregon. In my 17th year, I was planning to spend in Vista, California. When I hear ignorant people put down the West with those same lame jokes about fruits and nuts, my flowered shirt reminds me that they are wrong. It reminds me of the warmth of the Santa Ana winds and the people I left behind. I wear Hawaiian shirts because at 350 pounds, I'm a big old canvas. I will not paint this expanse with bland, colored plaid shirts, becoming the fashion equivalent of some mass-produced print sold at Target with no other purpose than to pull the room together. Tones of tan, navy, and maroon, business casual art that matches that cheap couch you bought at the furniture outlet. I wear Hawaiian shirts because they are the official uniform of the International Order of Big Blues. Flowered shirts are the secret signal identifying us as the good guys. We're not Illuminati. We're not out to rule the world. We're here to spread peace, love, and barbecue. We prefer bowling, fishing off the bridge, and playing bongos to abusing question and answer time at the local city council meetings, or writing passionate letters to the editor about drainage issues in our area. We are agents of whimsy, fighting the effects of middle management human resource policies on the human soul. I wear Hawaiian shirts because I am not afraid of its beauty. I do not labor under the outdated belief that flowery is not manly. In the animal world, masculinity is often defined by the bold plumage of the males to attract those females that are in the mood for love. Sorry, ladies, I'm already taken. I wear Hawaiian shirts because in 2007, my cousin Big John, my namesake, put a .45 caliber pistol in his mouth and pulled the trigger and ended his life. He was the closest thing I had to a brother. He wore Hawaiian shirts, shorts, and flip-flops year-round, which is something in the middle of Oregon. But he was the coolest person I knew, and life proved too much for him. I wear Church because when I do, Big John is still alive. He still influences the world through me. The darkness of this overly serious place, dank and moronic, is dealt a blow with each hot pink flamingo on my shirt. Every white orchid, every verdant leaf, every tiny hula girl speaks for a better world. When I put on a Hawaiian shirt, I feel his spirit. The man who gave me my first ring, a Christmas eggnog handed to me on the slide with my Pentecostal parents in the same room. The spirit of this man took me to illegal drag races in the Oregon desert, who would have provided bail money no matter what I did. I wear Hawaiian shirts because it celebrates the man I consider my brother. Thank you. Hey Jim, you can either use yours or mine, and I'd like a shuffle beat if you're available.
Okay.
I got a chair already.
Have a seat.
Nobody there. Great. Yeah, so it's going to be a shuffle beat about 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. This is called And It All Stops. Sometimes I get chewing my own juices, to use a favorite old-timey expression. I feel pain, frustration, and worry about what will happen to me. Why don't I do what I should? Why are there times I have the attention span of a gnat on Red Bull? Why I can't seem to feel like whatever is adult is supposed to feel like. I think it's gold and all that remains undone in my life. All that is unorganized, unrepentant, unregenerate, uncool, unsmooth, unsuave, unproductive, unmature, unadult, and the general miscellaneous that is dull plus ungood in my humble little life. I'm not sure what stops this. I'm not sure how to initiate the welfare system reset in my brain, or how to reproduce the determination we feeling, but somehow they can stop. I don't know if it's the potato chips, the Diet Coke, the coffee, the short walk around the block, or the 3 minutes in the restroom to rid myself of all the previously enjoyed beverages. It could be the hip-hop, 80s pop, hard bop, techno, emo, screamo, salsa, and even the beloved Texas swing that I rarely admit to having in my MP3 player. Whatever it is, there is something in the universe that clears out all of the cosmic bat guano in my soul. I hope it has spiritual roots. I hope it's the loveliness of God. I hope it's the beauty of His love for me and the redemption brought about by His Son. I hope it's coming in contact with the magnificence I see in the night sky, the memories of the Oregon snow-covered mountains, or the pine trees of my youth, or maybe it's the chirping of Costa Rican geckos, even the deep Indiana green that fills my summer. The source of this life-affirming recharge is unknown to me. What I can tell you is this. Somewhere from inside the deepest reaches of my soul and spirit, my eternal being strives to the bank of darkness, the very edge of the abyss of the boiling cauldron of evil and worry that would overtake me and swallow me whole, so that the goodness is gone forever and I am finally lost to all my eternal darkness and worry. And the eternal me stares into that dark abyss, filling his lungs full as he bellows with all of his might, remaining in him those eternal words that I do not consciously know, but can only imagine that they have the same intensity, the same shocking feeling as the basis of person. That is, it is something ancient that expresses light to darkness, defiance to oppression, and authority of the best good to the basest evil. These words shoot into the spiritual atmosphere, closing like napalm on the tanker truck of the airplane fuel. And it all stops. And I remember that God is good. And I remember why I love my life. And I remember the life is worth living. And I breathe free and easy again. Thank you. Okay, our next caller is Rod Fairhands. And thank you to Jim Catalano, local percussion superstar, my friend. And Rod's going to share, and there you are, sir.
Ministries in the house. If I go out to the little gospel, and Jesus said in 10:5, he said, wherever you go, first say peace against that house. When I say that, when I see what God's going to do with the atmosphere, at least, the very least, there'll be peace there. In this day and age, we can always have peace. So there's God guaranteed peace. I'd like to share something with you. It's not a point, points. Something that kind of ties us in together. And I believe that everybody here has probably had that dream that you felt like you were falling. Probably it's universal. To me, it's strange that people all over the world probably have the same dream. They got in China, places where we couldn't even speak and understand. They're most likely having that dream. And what happened to me one night? In that dream, and this was after my born-again experience, the spirit in the dream said, I'm on the ground. The spirit said, look up. And when I looked up, a bright light came on, and all of a sudden I realized, guess what? I wasn't falling. That I was being raptured. And I said, wow, well, if that's me, and I see that, that must be what everybody is experiencing. That's why we never fall, because God said, okay, the end is near, I'm giving you a dream, I'm giving you a vision. So the next time you happen to put that dream, just take a look up and see what is revealed to you. Okay. I couldn't always do that as a little boy. My mother dragged me to church, And I guess I was a typical, in Newark, New Jersey, typical little gangster. And as I was converted, this point came to me and said, guess what? I came to believe. Because I rejected or didn't understand what my mother was trying to do, I should say my parents were trying to do by introducing me to God and making me be a good guy, I ended up leaving and going into the world and getting involved with drugs and all kinds of things. But thank God, in my generation, the guns and that thing wasn't popular, so I never got into the environment. But still, being an alcoholic, a drug addict, I ended up in AA. But it's not until I participated till those things took hold in my life and delivered me from what I was doing. And this point came to me out of that experience. I came to believe. I remember I shared this in AA some years ago, about 20 years ago. Now I remember how I sat in churches of the world. Not paying attention, guess what? Because I wanted my toy. And all of a sudden, ow, Mama pinched my sleeve. And though that pain was real, it didn't make me believe. As time went by, I was given the choice. You can go to church or stay home. I heard Dad's voice. I was a teenager then, as I watched them all leave. And my conscience was numb, because I didn't believe. How the years slipped away through the streets that I roamed, and I never quite understood the true meaning of home. Because I didn't believe, and I just couldn't see that break in Mom's heart was all because of me. Now, staying faithful year by year, she couldn't pray for wealth and gold, but she denied selfish blessings. Let the truth now be told, that through my youth into manhood, even to this very day, help my son believe, she uttered. Father, please hear me as I pray. Let him see how much we love him. Help him know that you are there. Free his mind and heart from bondage was a single, constant prayer. So now I stand within God's Spirit. His holy word is my sword and shield. Now I've learned to conquer evils just by knowing how to get it. Now have you ever heard your conscience telling you to try God's way? Did you shrug it off, not knowing that someone loves you as they pray? be it mom or maybe dad, be it husband, child, or wife. Someone asking God to help you through the struggles in your life. After all is said and done, I know that I have to take a step. And when this meeting breaks apart, I hope you will take my hand. And join the circle that overcomes, those that know to do God's will. And I know you'll find the peace that your heart is longing for. Now, I came to believe that there is goodness in the heart of every soul. So when the circle breaks, take courage, because God is always there, I'm told. After all, even I came to believe. I came to believe. That's what I'm saying. You can't celebrate the prayers. I learned that, I would say the hard way, because I was a knucklehead. But it's good when prayer catches up. And this one I like to dedicate to my mother. And it's just called, it's actually a birthday thing, but I forgot what it's called, but it goes like this. Who held my hand when I was small? She'd wipe those tears I cried. If you told me what was right from wrong, guess what? With a love that never died. Now, as I grew up and friends were teased, I said, I'll tell my mother. She picked me up and somehow gave me strength. But for me, there is love. Now, a fragrant aroma filled the air as Mama gave her best. She fed the whole family with loving care and always passed the test. She always gave and seldom asked, except that I do right. And now that I've become a man, I love her with all my might. So this faithful saying I'll just give to all, to each father, daughter, and son. Though the whole world was conceived by moms, each person just has one. Love your mom. Thank you.
Our next poet is Jake Webster. He's actually a sculptor. He told me to say he's not a poet, he's a sculptor. And you do need to go down to his studio and visit there. He's got a lot of great art on display. It's really worth seeing. Mr. Jake?
Okay, on my way.
Don't you hurry up, guys.
Don't get old. Don't get old. Make yourself. It happens to me every time. But here we go. I got my glasses on now. Okay, because I can't see a thing without. How many of you seen Dreaming in Public? It was a PBS special last month. It was about me and what I do here in Elkhart, Indiana. And folks make me from Elkhart, Minnesota. They have me from Elkhart, Montana. They have me from Elkhart, Illinois. They have me from Elkhart, California. Very, very rarely do they put me in Elkhart, Indiana. And so for 2 years, graduate media followed me and my then partner around and photographed us everywhere but the bathroom, just to get 30 minutes worth of footage to show on PBS. So go to YouTube or go to PBS and look up Dreaming in Public. Now, I'm going to go back to my roots tonight and bring you some new material. But I'm going to start with some old material. Just because my old stuff is just as current as my new stuff. And I like to keep confusing folks by putting the old stuff with the new stuff, and folks don't know. That's why I work out track. So if you're looking at something that's 50 years old, something that was done yesterday, you can't tell the difference. I just hope I done got better at what I did. And so I got some new stuff, and if it don't come out right, it's not my fault, because that's the way I wrote it, okay? And so my shorthand sometimes make my brain go blank. So if I have a moment, blame it on some writing that they told me to the stupid, okay? It's not my fault, okay? And this is why I make art, because it gives us an opportunity to get together and sit down and share. Good times, bad times. I cuss a lot because my grandmother cussed a lot. She even cussed in church because she felt that the preacher should know what she meant, since he didn't cuss. He didn't have no business trying to figure out what he was saying. But it was for me to understand. And so I grew up in the church, but I grew up in a language that was inherited to Mississippi and to my family. And so if my shorthand becomes my longhand and my brain goes click, bear with me. Because that's the one thing I can't share with you, is this great mind of mine. And so, listen to this. It says, one more time, one more time. You know, I'm glad to be in that number. Oh Lord, one more time. Bang! Oh Lord, you know I'm glad to be in that number. Oh Lord, one more time. Boom, 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 boom. One. Just one more time. I'm glad to be in that number one more time. Jake, why are you glad to be in that number one more time? Come, brothers and sisters, lay down your guns. Lay down your guns, lay down your guns. Come, brothers and sisters, lay down your arms. It is the future we must keep. It has been said this is not our native land, but this land our ancestors bled and died. This is the land 50 million black folks have been stripped of everything to call this land their home. Brothers and sisters, come, lay down your guns. Lay down your guns. I know God is watching. Lay down your guns so fathers can get to know their children. Lay down your gun so children can get to know their father. Lay down your guns so daughters can get to know their mother. Lay down your gun so mothers can get to know their daughters. Lay down your gun, lay down your gun. I know God is watching. I can feel His presence all about me. Faith, oh faith, so much too much. During the 30s and 40s, we had a great migration with black folks leaving the South coming north. During the 80s, 90s, and the 2000s, we got a great migration with folks leaving the Middle East coming to Western Europe and the United States and Mexico and you name it. But we're on the move because of the great migration. And whether your folks came here on the free ship or the adventurous ship or the slave ship, we got to lay down our guns so we can get to know one another. And only in art can we have a conversation like this without somebody getting angry or upset. One more time. I'm just glad to be in this number one more time. And the blood is running warm in my body. And I promise God that I will stand up and proclaim Him one more time, just because, one more time. This is my land. This is my home. Thank God one more time. Now, I say I'm going to give you some new stuff because things are happening and my little bit of brain get caught up in this big old world. And sometimes I try to explain to the young folks the age. My stepson, fortunate and unfortunate, killed himself. Motorcycle accident a month ago down in Indianapolis. And I felt trapped. I felt boxed in. But in my line of work, all of that becomes motivation to make art. So I'm never depressed. I'm never into that mode where I want to do something to me. You might put me in a mode to do something to you. Because it's just so much to see and do. There are so many places to be. And I thank God for every day because I get up to do what I love to do. And that's my message to young folks. Find what it is you love to do and find a way to do it. And especially if it's good. I know mothers and fathers like us, some doctors and lawyers, entertainers and athletes make a whole lot of money, but some of you might become a sculptor and don't have 2 pennies to rub together. But I've never been hungry, I've never been cold, and I've always, I have been cold. But I've always had a place to go make art. And for the last 21 years, most folks have no idea what I do in Elkhart. They'll pass me by. If I'm full of sawdust or stone dust, they'll cross the street to keep them fishing. And I bring it, I lay it. Because if they know what I know, they would come back off the street, that's the street. But they don't. But the edge, and this is my gift to young folks, finding that something that you really love, honing your skills, getting your edge of craft that you get real good at. Don't let folks tell you it's too fast for you, or that what you love is too big for you. But to ride that edge, fast, real fast, to the end of time. Let those naysayers and those I told you so see only your backside from a distance and ride that edge to the end of time. Because that's what you're good at. We are all seeking that edge in life. They said that bike was too big for him. But he liked fast bikes, and he liked fast cars, bright and shining. On that morning, my boy found his edge and rode it to the end of time. He rode because that's what you do when you find your edge. You ride until the end of time. He loved life. He loved to laugh. He loved to play. He found his edge and rode it to the end of time. He found his edge and rode it to the end of time. When I called, he answered. When I needed help, he was there. People laughed when he called me a hero. And when he reminded them, heroes start at home. He named me. But he could have named any one of his 16 uncles or nieces, uncles or aunts. He could have named everyone. He could have named his grandpa, either one. He could have named his grandma, either one. But he found his edge. He named me. Because heroes start at home. So many times our kids had hero stars in the streets or someplace else. Your hero better be the person that feeds you. Your hero better be the person that clothes you. In December, January, February, and March up here, your hero better be the person that keeps himself. So my boy named me. He found his age. No, he wasn't perfect. He was a man. I believe he was remorse, and I know God forgave him. And because I love you so, that edge you found, I'm glad you were able to ride it to the end of time. Now, I spoke those words at his funeral because I didn't want nobody to get there and make no martyr out of it. I didn't want nobody to make no hero out of it. He was my boy, and I know he was mine. One day he took a 16-inch clock off the wall and wore it to school. Down his neck with a big gold chain, and I wanted to kill him. And then I realized I was upset with his teachers for letting him be at school all day long. He knew where my anger was going. Because he was my boy. Bob Skinner, inside this says, searching for something, don't know what I'm looking for. I hope I recognize it. Better still, hope it recognizes me. Bob Skinner, inside this head. The world moves so fast inside this head. The blur from the speed inside this head. One day we'll focus inside this head. I will see clearly inside this head. Bob Skinner. So what is happening? It's only happening inside this head. It's not really happening between these ears of mine, but inside this head. What are you searching for inside this head? Box in, confusion, explosion, need space, more room out than in. So let it out. explosion. Get the hell out of the way. Be still. Let the cool water seek the level. Boxed in inside this head. I go into the valley and scream. I go on the mountain top and I scream. Inside this head, boxed in. The peace I see start inside this head, boxed in. One mile, start with one step inside this head, boxed in. Trap. Sometimes you might well lock a damn chastity belt around that mind. Think, not thinking, don't think. Cry out, loud and clear, trap. Just a little brain of mine. Won't let me understand what it is I want to understand. I love my space inside my mind, trap. I love what I do inside my mind, trap. Between myself, dialogue. Learn to talk to yourself. You ain't crazy. You might be the smartest person you know. So when I tell you that the young folks, old folks get upset. One day, your parents stop telling you who you are. You have to tell your parents who you have become. Let me say that again. One day, your parents have to stop defining you. You have to tell your parents who you have become. Inside my head. Thank you.
What you were doing was fine, so shuffle like that. Okay, I'm going to do another poem and then we're going to take a break. And since a lot of folks came in, so everybody can get whatever beverages they need. And this is called Social Media Biography. And I actually made most of it and came up with a lot of it from looking at LinkedIn. From looking at LinkedIn profiles and seeing how much I really don't like marketing. So, social media biography. I don't know how to put this, but I'm kind of a big deal. Let me tell you about myself. I'm a social media consultant, marketing strategist, a people-focused entrepreneur, a profit-centered activist. I'm a spiritual seeker, e-commerce healer, the big data professor you've been looking for. I'm ready to combine the paradigms and values into a win-win strategy with that kind of leadership that will ignite a passion for action like you've never seen before. I'm a chrome-plated champion of breaking all the rules, changing the way it's always been and how it was meant to be. I specialize in award-winning original content, collaboration, solving unique problems, with a commitment to make this world a better place. I detest ties and tradition, banishing 20th century traditions. I'm a social media platform on my very own, specializing in maximizing nonprofit revenue streams, startup, step up, shutting down, finishing well, marketing hell. I'm here for you. What's unique about me hidden beneath this wall of words, the same value-added progressive specifications spiked with quirkiness and fads, a mountain of buzzwords and vapid phrases, and still no personal knowledge is revelating. I said all of this to say nothing at all. Thank you. It would really be great if, besides buying drinks and leaving a tip for the nice barista, if you could take some pictures and put them on Facebook. We have a group page, it's a public group page called Wordplay, open mic night, and just put them on there, and that'll help me because Actually, we've got some friends at the Learner that help advertise us, and they use our pictures. So anything you can put on there, if you want a little video, that'd be great. We're videoing this too, and we're going to have a YouTube channel. I'll have news about that. So we're going to take a break. So y'all can get something to drink and whatever.
I didn't like it. But I really liked it. Don't make it. It was on my own. It was on TV show. I was new to that.
I know, I knew that for you.
I really liked it.
I ain't gonna complain to the other day. Step on your mind, you know.
It's not been too weird. Hey, man.
This is called the compass. They were walking in the woods one early morning, two friends looking for a place to sit and hunt. Jim wouldn't call himself a hunter. He hadn't hunted before. He only went along because his friend Bob, who had all the guns and ammo, wanted him to go. The thought of being out in nature, learning to use a gun, possibly bringing home food for winter was intriguing. He had eaten venison before and liked it, so why not go? It all started as they both walked up the hill that would go into the woods. It was on a cold, winter Saturday morning. Not a bitter cold, but cold enough. There stood right before their eyes a beautiful sight, grazing with such grace and tranquility. It was a doe. It was almost hard to believe the opportunity that already awaited them. They both stood there, still in amazement, not wanting to say anything to each other for fear of spooking her. Bob could wait no longer, because waiting could mean losing the opportunity to claim his prize. So Bob slowly lifted his gun into position, put the deer in sight, and then pulled the trigger. "You got it," Jim said. He thought to himself what it would be like to be able to shoot his own deer, as they both ran with excitement to see what was brought down before them. Bob pulled out his hunting knife. "What are you going to do? Make sure she's dead?" Jim asked. "No, I'm preparing her to hang," Bob replied seriously. Jim laughed. "I know. I was trying to be funny, Bob. I remember hearing some of the guys at work talking about what to do after shooting a deer. But I just haven't seen the process myself. So go ahead and show me, Teach." As Jim laughed some more. With anxiousness, Bob hurriedly prepared the dough, as Jim, like a sponge, soaked in the learning moment. "We have to hang this deer," Bob quickly said. "I have some rope, and we'll hide her in the group of trees. It's cold enough, and we can leave her and come back later." Jim had heard of other hunters who had taken their deer right away to have it processed. He was thinking and said to Bob, "Why do we have to wait?" "We can't do it that way," Bob annoyingly replied. "I think we could take it to Frank. I just have to call him when we get through here." He has everything we need to finish the processing. He won't require us tagging the deer. Jim asked, aren't you supposed to register the game? He knew that much from listening to Chuck and Ralph talk at work. It was not my intention to shoot anything out here today. I just got carried away by the moment, Bob anxiously replied. Jim, somewhat confused, said, you came out here not thinking that you would see a deer and want to shoot it? I thought that was the purpose for coming. And then now all of a sudden, after you have shot a deer, we have to hide it as though we are covering it up and not even register it? To do it in secret and hide the evidence. It's a good indication that we are doing something wrong. Bob, with an angry, frustrated, and somewhat annoyed voice said, so what do you want me to do? I don't have a way to tag it. Nobody has to find out. Let's just get this deer up and let it hang for a while, and I'll try to call Frank. We'll be fine. No, we won't be fine, Jim responded. You have involved me in something that you knew from the beginning could end up this way. Bob responded quickly. I told you that I wasn't intending on shooting anything, and that's the truth. Really? Jim asserted. This isn't the first time that we have been confronted with making these kinds of decisions, Bob. It seems as though you have no problem stretching the truth. For you, if you get carried away with the moment and make a wrong decision, you just cover it and move on. No harm done. Man, I want to be your friend, but trying to take me to the dark side all the time totally goes against my moral and spiritual compass. Bob, with an understanding voice, said, wow, Jim, I guess I never realized that was an issue. I just like to have a good time. One thing, Bob, that would be good to remember is that all of us are confronted with issues every day for which we have to make decisions that can take us in many directions and could take us to unexpected places. The moral and spiritual compass with a desire to please God is what gives the convictions to make the right decisions and live by those decisions. There is, however, a question that we have to answer for ourselves. Will we stand by our convictions, or will the challenge of the moment cause us to fall?
For those of you who don't know, the craft's going to get small. I write books. I write a magazine column that comes out weekly on Chanello. It's a digital magazine, and it's serial fiction. And when they contacted me to see if I wanted to write for them, I said, sure, I'd write true stories. And it took them a couple days to get back with me, but what's happened is I put another book together that's a collection of short stories that particularly pertain to me in my life. John said last month, I don't have to do something new every month. The beautiful part about talking these stories, just telling these stories in front of people is I get your response to where I think, what I think is funny and what is hitting, what would be the reader, because to do stand-up or comedy and almost to this book that's coming out is humor. It's a lot different when you write the funny than what it is when you stand up and say the funny. I don't read it line for line because I'm terrible at reading. I have a face for radio. You understand. Tonight I want to talk about when I was a scoutmaster. For 15 years I spent in Michigan, as my kids were growing up, I was the scoutmaster and the cubmaster for the troop in Decatur, Michigan. And I became quite the legend, if nothing else to me. It was a combination of boredom and my imagination that would get me noticed amongst these other scoutmasters. In 2002, I think it was 2002 or 2003, I was runner-up for Scoutmaster of the Year in Michigan. The 15 years I was Scoutmaster, I had 15 Eagle Scouts in my troop. Out Heidi with her son to become an Eagle Scout. I've taken thousands of kids to camp, spent countless hours sleeping on the ground, weather conditions. I'm not the least bit afraid of doing anything that it took to get the troop to survive. We camp once a month as a troop, and then what tied scouting over and what made the scouts want to come back for more was once a week during the summer, I take them to summer camp. If anybody knows anybody that's ever been to summer camp, every camp in North America has one commonality. Well, they have several. Boys that don't know how to bathe, they have poor food, and they have raccoons. The two things I want to hit on tonight, and if I have time I'll do another one, was my battle with these raccoons that almost became legendary. I was at a beautiful camp in Pioneer, Ohio, which is on the Michigan, Ohio border, just 17 miles north of Toledo. And I know this is 17 miles north of Toledo because everybody at the camp told me where we were. And if you're in Ohio, and you guys are black because you're in Indiana, but if you're in Ohio, everything's measured in miles and feet and yards. And if you go just north of here in Michigan, you will quickly learn that everything that I learned up to being 35 years old when I first attended this camp was everything's measured in minutes. It takes 45 minutes to get from my house to somewhere. So when they said 17 miles to Toledo, I'm thinking, we can't drive that in a day. I don't even know what 17 miles is. It was a culture shock to find out that it's literally from here to the other side of Osceola, down the road. It's nothing. But to me, I mean, what is that? Why would you tell me you're from Toledo and where it is if it's a day's ride away? Anyway, we're on the Michigan-Ohio border, and the raccoons come to these camps because kids throw food on the ground, there's dumpsters, there's just a ton of problems to keep these animals out of there. It's a feeding frenzy for them, and what the Scoutmasters end up doing is spending most of their nights keeping the raccoons out of camp. I was there this first Sunday night. Usually it's not too bad. It's the Monday after the days have been around for a while that it starts to get hairy, but the first night we were there, I woke up at 3:30 in the morning, and this screeching noise, and I'm not going to do it because I have a microphone, but it was a screeching noise, and I get out of my tent, I've got my flashlight, I'm shining it all over, and I can't find the noise. I'm thinking one of my scouts is being murdered in his sleep. It's going to be a great book, but I'm in a lot of trouble. I whip open the tent, straight across from me, and two sows, which are the females, are inside fighting over a Tupperware container about the size of this table of Rice Krispie treats that one of the scouts had brought and stuck under his bed. The two scouts in the tent never woke up to this war that was going on in the tent. We found the Tupperware container the last day we were there, a quarter of a mile away from the camp, completely empty. It's a true story. That's not where this gets good. I walked to the showers, which are about a half a mile away from camp, about 11 o'clock on that Wednesday night with my buddy Ron. We shower. I didn't bring my shampoo because this is what my hair looks like. I borrowed his. It was apple scent. I didn't ask why he brought fruity shampoo to camp because I didn't care. I knew his wife packed for him, and I had eaten at their house, and I was not going to get kicked out of eating at their house for questioning her toiletry methods. But an apple seemed a little weird to me. When we go back to camp, his tent was next to my tent, and we're laying there talking. And mind you, the only thing worse at camp than the raccoons is the actual mosquitoes. I had a mosquito netting over my tent. I'm talking to him, he's in his tent, and I'm laying on my back and I feel something just rub the top of my head. And I said, while he's talking, something just touched the top of my head. And I get up and I'm, John, man, thanks. I do this and I see nothing outside the tent. I kind of look around a little bit, I see nothing. I assume, I don't know, maybe my mosquito netting touched me, I don't know. I lay back down, we're continuing talking, and 3-4 minutes later, I definitely felt something lick the top of my head. And I said, Ron, it's here. And he shines his flashlight out, we don't see it. As we're coming out of our tents together, and I'm not going to move around a lot, but literally there's a small male raccoon, who I say small, is probably 700 to 800 pounds with ferocious little face, because animals are animals. And it's going that way. We talk for a few more minutes. I'm assuming it's not coming back. I lay down, or I'm almost asleep. It's 1:30 in the morning, and my egg light is in my right hand. If you'll notice, I'm left-handed. This is very important. So I'm laying on my cot on my back, because steel cots are comfortable in the summertime, and it licks my head again. So I immediately, with the presence of a demigod who knows how to sword a sword, do this. Bam! Hit the raccoon in the head. And while I nicked it with the tip of my mag light and it sent it squealing, I had managed to bust full force into my skull my mag light. Now, for you ladies who don't know why John's laughing, a mag light is about twice as round as this, holds 4 batteries, and has the power to blind a jet. I love them. They're weapons. I have the proof. I really couldn't say anything to Ron at that point because my face hurt. I fall back asleep. The raccoon doesn't come back that night. We get up in the morning to do our things, and right after the crack at dawn, one of my other scoutmasters looks at me and says, I think you're bleeding. And he shines his light like this, and he goes, he says, what did you do? And I had literally, other than a headache, not even thought about it, and I went like this, and there was a tube-like lump that ran up and down on my forehead. Fast forward 1 year, we decided to go back to this same camp. But in the meantime, I had gotten wise. I knew I could conquer the raccoon. I had everything in my power, the wisdom, the strength, the speed, the flashlights. And I had stopped at a military surplus outlet and bought almost expired pepper spray. I mean, who told you why you should laugh at that? With the trigger mechanism. And I said to the guys, I bought this because I couldn't believe what a deal I was getting. Why is this so cheap? He says, well, it's almost expired, and you're going to understand why this is important to use up your pepper spray, people, before it expires, because I'm going to teach you something here tonight. We return to this same camp. This camp does not have running water in its campsite. This is important to know. It doesn't. So you have to walk a long way. We're a mile away from the nurse's station, the dining hall, the bathrooms. We have a latrine, but there's no running water. The raccoons are just horrible this year. Every night, I'm literally, from the second night out, I'm sleeping on a picnic table because when they come in and start harassing the tents, I'm up with whatever. This year, I've got them. I have them. I have my pepper spray. I'm sleeping on top of a picnic table for the 3 or 4 hours of sleep I get a night as a scoutmaster, which is extremely uncomfortable. There's no protection from the mosquitoes or the stuff that falls from the trees. I wake up with a raccoon that is actually crawling onto the picnic table with me, and I'm like, yes! I have you. I reach down, I sit up at the same time, and I pull the trigger. Oh yes, I got him. Except for the fact, and this is where I'm going to teach you something, what happens with pepper spray canisters when they expire is the O-ring goes bad. So when you apply pressure to it, such as a trigger mechanism to spray it, the canister explodes in your hand. Okay? So the raccoon is just like, oh yeah. And I'm like, oh, what is this stuff? And I do this, and I didn't have glasses then. And I went like this. Yeah. Remember I told you there was no water in camp. It is 5 a.m. in the morning, and I have just wiped a canister of pepper spray across my forehead, where the year before I was injured a little bit, and down my face, trying to get this off me. I put my hand in the dirt. The coon is literally sitting on the end of the picnic table and I'm about to die. And I'm wiping my hand on the ground, getting sand and gravel on it. And I'm walking to our trailer to see if there's anything, because we have to go once a day and fill the coolers full of the water that we can drink at camp. I'm going to wash my face with this. Except no one bothered to get enough water to get us through the night. So when I open the container, there's literally nothing in the bottom of this. So I took my second best form of liquid, which was at that point Graveyard Guard, because this is, I'm getting to this and I'm going to go sit down. Graveyard Guard does everything. So I sprayed it on my hand and I'm wiping it on my face. And if you've never experienced pepper spray in a Raid product, what it does is intensifies the heat, but it has a cooling sensation. So I've got Graveyard Guard and pepper spray running off of me, and I can't breathe now because I don't know if you've been maced often, but it's painful. And you can't inhale, and your eyes are starting to swell shut, and you don't want the children that you took to camp to perform first aid on you, so you will crawl off into a ditch and die before you ever tell anybody you've done this. So I opened one of the coolers in the trailer with this much of this I had left. I find a jar of Hellmann's that had been left over from a camp out that we had gone on maybe 6 months ago. Hellmann's, by the way, is not a vinegar-based product, so it does not last a long time when not refrigerated properly. But as a salve for a pepper spray wound, it was a smelly miracle. Smelly miracle. So I'm rubbing the mayonnaise on the Raid and the pepper spray, begging God to hit me with lightning and put me out of my misery, when my assistant scoutmaster gets up and comes over to the trailer to see what's wrong. And he looks at me, he's like, "Oh my God, you're an idiot." I'm like, "What did you do?" I said, "I tried to get the raccoon with pepper spray." And he goes, "You missed." I said, "It's worse than that, John. I've been like this for 45 minutes. So he walks me to the nurse, and I'm finally cleaned off. Literally for like 3 days, it looked like I had outlined my eyes with very hot pink. I had blisters over here. And this again, I know I told the story last month. The name of the book that I'm about to finish up is The First Time I Set My Head on Fire and All the Other Calamities That Happened While I Was Minding My Own Business. But this was not an actual time that I set my head on fire. Those, I haven't told those stories yet. I'll go sit down if you need me a good job.
Thank you, sir.
Very good job. Yeah.
Heidi, would you want to,
This is Heidi Hopkins, sanctable woman that is the spouse of Mark.
She didn't want anybody to know that, John.
Oh, she did.
She didn't want anybody to know that.
Well, it's all about truth around here.
Truth is I'm about to eat the other half of her cake.
Oh.
The other half is yours. All right. My readings tonight are Mark Hopkins. Stories and short poetry. All right, here we go. A poem of sorts. The breeze blew only to offer me comfort. I ran and found shelter to stay in away. And the building that I took solace in did nothing to me except hold me hostage. And the rain was guilty of nothing more than attempting to wash my body and quench my thirst. It was the sun that warmed me and allowed me to see, and in return I asked for the shadow of night, so I did have to see, and nothing could see me. The ground which offered me both food and a place to sleep, I cast salt upon it, for it was too hard. And I, in turn, for the help offered, resented. All right, one good dress. Again, by Rick Hopkins. She probably only had one good dress, and she was wearing it now because of somebody's death. Was it a parent, a cousin, a sibling, a friend? It doesn't matter. Does it look like many will attend? What will she do with the rest of her life now that she's no longer old Harry's wife? They were sweethearts in school and wed shortly after. Then came the war, and after that, the disaster. After the war, it was never the same. Harry trying to live with the war guilt and shame. Once that started, then nothing was nice. The yelling, the screaming, the hitting, the fights. There was some kind of abuse almost every night. Looking back at it, there was no end in sight. Leaving Harry thought that wouldn't have been right. Now she stands at the church alone with no pride, waiting, hoping, expecting for anyone to arrive. They had no friends to call their own, barely a shack to call a home. Why did she stay? She'd been better alone. Oh, Harry, what have you done? Eating the barrel of that stupid handgun. Why did you have to do it that way? Now the insurance won't even pay. For as much as I love you, I hate you today. But wherever you are, I hope that you're okay. This is one of my favorites. Poor Uncle Seamus. By Mark Hopkins, author. All right, I like this one. Poor Uncle Seamus and Martha McCuddy, they were the town drunks. They're both kind of nutty. They drank in the taverns, the pubs, and the bars. They both rode bicycles because neither owned cars. They lived in a loft at the edge of the town. From chewing cigars, Martha's teeth had turned brown. Seamus was as skinny as a pole. On Wednesday night, Martha and Seamus both liked to bowl. Seamus's hair was a magnificent red. Unfortunately, on top, the hair just was dead. Martha's hair was hard to describe. It needed to be washed, set, and combed, then burned alive. Martha was big as a house. Next to her, poor Seamus looked like a mouse. They were in love, truly in love with each other. Poor Uncle Seamus dared not to look at another. Seamus did precisely what he was told. He did not want Martha to lash out or scold. Seamus was wiry, a long-legged man. When he did get to eat, most meals were from a can. So together they drank and drove the town crazy. Truth to be told about Martha, she was naturally lazy. Seamus had a kid brother. David Mike was his name. The two barely spoke, yet I'm not sure who's to blame. All David said was Seamus put the family name to good shame. Rarely did we speak of Seamus's out and about. David Mike, who's my father, was a man of some stout. And the last thing we wanted was to hear my father shout. One late night in the middle of July, and still yet we are not sure of the why. Martha and Seamus left the local bar, got on their bikes, but they didn't ride far. They stopped in the park at the city pool where the water was glimmering and must have looked quite cool. There were no witness to see what went on. From what we could tell, they used it like a pond. Both climbing in and wading around, Martha must have slipped and started to fall to the ground. Seamus was behind her and tried to catch her from the back, but as we all know of her body's strength, Seamus, he did lack. Then there was a splunk and splash as they both fallen down. Uncle Seamus was now pinned under Martha and was starting to drown. Martha may have passed out or maybe fell asleep. Uncle Seamus was under Martha in water 2 feet deep. It wasn't until morning, till Martha was awoken, that's when she found Seamus. He was dead and partly broken. I guess it was no big tragedy, with there being one less drunk in town. His service was nice, his hair was combed, and he was buried in a suit of brown. Aunt Martha spent a night in jail, not long enough to even have bail. The police had said nothing that would keep her in. According to some, what happened wasn't even a sin. This has been the story of Uncle Seamus' life and how he accidentally died under the weight of his wife.
Is there anyone that hasn't spoken that would like to speak? Just checking there. Steve. Fine. Okay. Jake, would you want to come do something or other?
I'll be glad to one more.
Okay. If you want support, you're going to be standing.
Give me some flavor.
Okay.
I say porn for the night, music. Did I make it?
Steve? Okay.
Give me some flavor. Let's see if we can pick up on the rhythm.
Yeah, that's not something different here.
That's what art is, listening to young folks make requests and you say, okay, let me see. And then you say, let me see, how do you escape? Since August the 10th, the highest, the lowest point in my life, sleep till noon every day. And I dare not ask myself, life passes. We get over, we move on. We wipe the tears from each other's eyes. We are family. That's what family do. Maybe Emily is right. I'm nobody. Who are you? Are you nobody too? You mustn't tell. That's that one of the biggest. No one called, no one stopped by. All that attention, nothing. 2 years in the making, dreaming and bubbling. I've been doing that all my life, and folk just passed me by. I was standing on the corner in Paris one day drawing, and a lady walked up to me and she said, "Where you from?" I said, "Mississippi." And she said, "Well, Mississippi." I said, "She just stopped lying." She said, "How did you escape?" And this is what we get when we move around and about from place to place. Nothing. That's how I escape. You ask yourself, nothing. The you escape, nothing. Keep that down. Escape within that soul of you. Escape within the essence of you. Escape into the all of you. That's who I am. I'll make a walk. I won't cry. I won't jump. I'll make up a big heart. And to that lady standing on the corner with me in Paris, I did not escape. I just thought that t-shirt was and I was and I was because I love just what I do. Yes, I sing my song. Keep that tab on. Keep that tab on. Because that's what I do. And we hope to have you back next time. Oh, John, it will be here.
Okay, I got one. It's called Time Warp. Anybody like the Talking Heads? Yeah, this is sort of inspired by Once in a Lifetime. So, Time Warp. Waking up again. Sunday I was 12, riding my bike through the wasteland, streams of broken asphalt and sagebrush, freely roaming where I lived. Monday I was 18, reading a textbook at 4 a.m., still smelling like Wendy's cheeseburgers, trying to finish before morning's final exam. Thursday I was 35, sitting in a ruined schoolhouse in Tamaulipas, Mexico, registering patients for a free clinic in the morning, sanitizing dental instruments in the afternoon. Today I am 47, answering emails from El Salvador in an office dimly lit by fluorescent tubes. I don't like this, Mr. Casual Dress Code. Waking up again, Tuesday I was 15, kissing a girl I just met at church camp. Our first date was behind the pool shed. The next day we decided it was sin and broke up. Yesterday I was 18. She said, "I just don't like you that way." Dumped at a Chinese restaurant, heartbreak is only slightly better on a lunch menu. Today I wake up next to my wife of 26 years, sweetness and light. She actually likes me. I got that one right. Waking up again, blurry warp of years, breaking the surface of the water, gasping for air. We think time exists in a fixed line, the events existing in their proper place, but eternity moves so quickly, things almost occur at the same moment. Memory is how we organize our life, a jumble of chaos we tell ourselves makes sense. Thank you. And let's see here. Okay, I'll do a couple short ones and then, okay. These are 3 short ones. Hope is a black cat. Hope is a little black cat with white paws. He tags around the house, following me as I putter. Laying on the unswept floor, he reaches out a paw to touch me as I put away the clean dishes. As I walk through the darkness always underfoot, rubbing up against my ankles, I must watch where I'm going so I don't step on his paws and make him run away. Thank you. That's what's called What a Sucker. What a sucker. After 23 years, I'm still helpless when I see the shape of her cheekbones and the softness of her eyes as she smiles when she asks me to do something I don't want to do. And this is another American haiku, which is Jack Kerouac defined a form that pretty much said, yeah, we can do haikus, but they don't have to be 575 syllables. So this is just something small that creates an image, and it's just a wonderful form. American haiku. I hate leaving home when she kisses me goodbye like that, in the kitchen smelling of bacon and grown tomatoes. Right?
This one's entitled Summertime on My Porch. Sitting on my front porch in the summertime is one of my favorite pastimes. Getting a cup of coffee, a hot tea, and positioning myself out in the early morning to listen and watch. Thinking to myself, I wonder if any animals have come up on my porch last night. Like the neighborhood black cat, who as an interloper has decided that my furniture is a place of refuge. He hides almost as though he were a recluse, not wanting any attention, fearing that he would be extricated. Now I know this is not confession time, and to all you cat lovers, I risk my life to say this, that in times past, I have chased it off my porch. It's not that I don't like these furry and lovable friends, they just create a confrontation between my dog and them. So you can see that for me to be able to enjoy my relaxing moment, first on my agenda is to make sure there are no intruders on my porch. So now I'm settled in and the scanning begins. It's a relaxing exercise of the neck and the senses. The head turns to the left and then to the right, back and forth, then up and down. With every move, the eyes and the ears are engaged. I want to take in any sign of life in this dark, early morning atmosphere. There is one animal that occasionally perks up my nasal passages, as if trying to get me to go back inside. He is a black cat with a white stripe. This is definitely not a time when I would take a cleansing bath. I am sure that he has encountered another adversary that has caused him to raise such a stink. But one cannot tell whether he won or lost, but the aroma of the battle is proof that all was not quiet last night. I soon retreat back inside, realizing that there were two battles that were fought at my house. The battle with the recluse and the battle of the skunk. It makes me wonder if these black furry friends were working together to claim my porch. Thank you.
Mark, you have 10 minutes. Do you get something for that?
Yeah. I
Figured you did.
I think I could talk for 10 minutes. I don't know. Will the crowd say 10 minutes after I start talking? That's the secret. One of the stories that I wrote when I first started doing this is about a friend of mine, my best friend growing up. We all had best friends, no matter how much trouble you got in. You knew you were going to be friends even after you got ungrounded. He had a very bad year, and the title of this article is, or story is, The Broken Leg. It starts out 30-some years ago, and Tony was standing on second base, and literally, the ball is pitched, he takes off towards third base, he's going to steal the ball. The catcher catches the ball and whips it in the direction of third base. The third baseman jumps in the air to get the ball. As Terry begins to slide, comes down without the ball, but on top of Terry's thigh and snaps his femur. I did not know any of this at the time because I was not there, but I heard the story secondhand, and I also found out from what I understand, the people in the crowd said he made noises after his leg broke that could not be repeated. And I'm telling you right now, before I continue, those sounds can be repeated under the right circumstances. I was at home getting ready that night while he was playing this game of baseball because we were going to an arcade. I had a job, a car, and it was Friday night. So I get to his house, and there's a station wagon parked in his driveway. I didn't recognize it. I knock on the front door because they have company. Normally I would walk right in. He's my best friend. We've been hanging out for years. And I go in, and Terry's laying on a couch with a broken leg and 2 sandwich bags of ice. If you're over 50, you know that's how parents used to cure things. They would fill a bread bag with ice, and his mom and his aunt are there, and his thigh is literally like this, and he is moaning, and I'm trying not to throw up. And I was not a doctor at the time, nor am I now, but I knew that ice was doing nothing for this kid. And I don't know why they brought him home. I never found out why they brought him home instead of rushing him to a hospital. But they then in turn, after I left very ill, put him in the station wagon and drove him to the hospital. It was an ugly break. 6 weeks, 5 weeks, 5 days, 5 weeks, 5 days go by. He's hobbling around on his crutches. We're friends, we're having a blast. My best friend, his best friend, all 3 of us are out on the basketball court. He's 2 days away from getting the cast off. When you're shaking your head, his mom comes out and says, as she's getting in his car, I'm running to the store, you better not be playing basketball or I'll break your other leg. And sometimes I think I'm giving the story away. Scott and I, his best friends, Tony's best friends, say, he's just standing there, he's not doing anything wrong. She drives away. Scott and I are passing the ball back and forth to each other. Scott takes the ball, whips it in Tony's direction. Tony, and I've got to set this down for just a second, I don't slam. Tony drops the crutches, catches the ball, and shoots the sweetest fadeaway I have ever seen. And the only time I can think of as a child or a young adult that I wish everybody videotaped everything, because the only thing more spectacular than that shot on a broken leg was the way the cast cracked. When it hit the asphalt. I know you're covering your mouth. You're ready for it. Because the cast cracked, and his leg bent like this. And I know we can't drop him some of the way, but Scott and I were doing a lot of swearing and staring at the ground screaming. because we knew his mom was going to be pissed. We knew we were going to get in trouble for this idiot breaking his leg. He did not have to catch that ball, nor did he have to shoot that fadeaway. So Scott and I do what best friends do. We get him up off the ground, and the leg is literally rebroke. It's clearly rebroke, and we run him into his house and put him on his couch, and then we split. We are like thieves in the night out of there, because this is not our first bout with parents blaming us. Well, his mom was, in fact, very upset. And about 2 weeks went by before we even tried to contact him, other than he would sneak a phone call to us. And I was driving from one town to another one Saturday morning, and I see at this yard sale the greatest gift one can bestow upon a best friend with a broken leg: an inflatable raft for two. Because if it's one thing Terry and I like to do, or excuse me, because of legal purposes, I can't call him Terry. In real life, his name was Terry. Anyway, this is going to get complicated, but Tony, for the sake of the story, and I love to go fishing. We love to fish. We had tackle boxes. We had gear. So I got on my car at this yard sale, and I beat in line to task and knickknacks, and I didn't care what I had to do to get this box. And I said to the lady who was sitting on a bench, it was as large as John and I, if we combined ourselves, "Why are you selling this? The box has never been opened." And she says, "My idiot ex-husband bought that for me to go fishing in." And I said, "Well, what kind of idiot could he possibly have been? It's a perfectly good raft." And she says, "You sound like my idiot ex-husband." And I said, "How much do you want for this raft?" She said, $1. I could not believe it. It came with its own pump. All right, I'm out of there. I have this, I put it in my trunk, I set it down. I am making a beeline to my house to get my tackle boxes and my fishing poles. You know what I'm talking about, right? Yeah. Get home, I call her, "Terry, do you think your mom will let you go fishing?" "Yeah, maybe, well, I gotta call her." I said, "I'll be right up." So we get to his house. I didn't want to ruin the surprise. We get to his house, we call his mom, says, "Mom, where are you going? Where are you going?" His mom's asking, "Where are you going? Why are you taking him?" "No, he's not going." "But it'll be fine. We're going out by Farmer Paul's house." Now, Farmer Paul was a guy that had hired Terry and I to bale hay, and he owned a resort on a lake which had pontoon boats and rowboats, which we could use for free because we worked for him. So when I said Farmer Paul, she said, "Okay." I'm going to tell you a side note real quick, because it's part of the whole heart sick and hysterical. Farmer Paul died. I know it's sad. Here's how he died. He owned cows. One of his cows kicked him in the head. And it went like this. And somehow, after all the surgery he did, he got kicked by the rear hoof of a cow thing. And that's what killed Farmer Paul. And this is about a year after the story. I added that because I liked the guy, and he is dead. Now, Terry and I get out. He was a great guy. He wanted to let us use the boats. Terry and I get out to 3 Mile Lake, which is right where Paul's resort is, with the boats and the pontoons that we could have used. And I take him to the public areas, and he said, "What are we doing?" I said, "I got something to show you." And I opened the trunk of my car, and it was like those movies, when you see the movie, the lights, and it was beautiful. But he could not believe I got this for us to go fishing. So we spend the next 2.5 hours pumping this up. And we are tired. But we now have our own inflatable raft for two to go fishing in. And it came with little plastic oars, and it was a wonderful boat. And we put 4 tackle boxes, 4 fishing poles, a man with a broken leg, or a boy with a broken leg, and me in this pontoon boat. And then we try to get offshore. And we try to get offshore. So I finally get out, and I pick up the back end, and I slide it out a little bit, and I get in. And I'm trying to push away from shore with these plastic oars. And they're just not moving us like I thought they would move us, because they're this long and plastic. So Terry's laying there, and he's doing this to help us move away from shore. And then suddenly, as luck could have it, the wind hit us, just enough that we are now about 50 yards offshore. And I was so happy we were going to be fishing out of this boat, which wasn't really as big as the picture showed, because we were packed in there with every cent of fishing gear we had. when I heard Terry, as he was doing this, scream, "Oh my God!" And I'm thinking he saw the biggest fish ever. He goes, "We're taking on water!" And I'm like, "Oh, this sucks." And I look, and the boat was dry rotted because there was water seeping up through the bottom of the boat. Now, this was, of course, ruining my blue jeans and my wallet, but it was also soaking up into his cast, and he seemed to be more panicked than I was. So I, as a good friend would do, grabbed the oar out and turned it into a paddle, and I went, "Huh!" And the oar part broke off the first one. And Terry's now laying on his stomach, doing this out front. I get the other oar out, and thank God we have the second oar. I do this, and I do this before it breaks. Fortunately for the oars, they were drifting back toward shore. We were not. So we have to decide what are we going to do now, because again, his mom's going to be mad. And we're paddling as best as we can, and it finally gets to the point where there's so much water in the boat and so little air in the sides of the boat that we had spent 2 hours blowing up that it is hindering us to stay in the boat. So we grab a tackle box in each hand, a fishing pole in each hand, and we start to try to do one of these numbers to get back to shore. And after about, I don't know, 5 strokes of this, Jerry's like, and that's literally, I can't breathe. And I thought, well, I'll help you, but I would have to do something like let go of my fishing gear. And so I did. I let go with both hands to grab his t-shirt and try to pull him towards me. I was saddened because now I didn't have any fishing gear in case somebody called me the next day and wanted to go fishing. He, fortunately though, still had both his poles and his tackle boxes, which was good. So I've got Terry and I'm trying to hold him on me like this, and I'm trying to paddle like this, and then we're not really moving anywhere. There's a white, cruddy, gray cloud of gook that comes up around us. And I'm like, "What is that?" Because it was gross. He's like, "That's my cast." And I'm like, "Fine, not throw up again." I know, Sid, I know, it sucks. And I'm like, "Okay, we can do this." And he lets go of the tackle boxes in the fishing poles in his hands to try to assist me in getting to the shore. And I'm kicking underwater with my feet. But yeah, as you may know, if a leg is not in the cast and is not completely healed, it's bound to get kicked when you're trying to swim ashore. And all of a sudden I hear, it's flopping in the water. And I'm like, "Oh, did you hold on to at least one tackle box?" Anyway, we finally got back to shore, and it was clearly broke again, and he was clearly pale, and I was tired. And we had a choice, drive 15 miles back to his mom's house or drive 4 miles up the road to where his dad lived. Now, as it turns out, his dad and 2 brothers were not nearly as understanding as what I think his mom would have been, because when we pulled in the driveway without a cast and a kid with a broken leg for the 3rd time in 4 months in my car, his dad was hot. And his brothers took it out on us before they decided to put him in the back of a welding van and drive him back to the hospital. And this has been a story about my friend Tony and his broken leg. Oh, it is now. 30 years later, we can laugh about it.
Well, it's after 9 o'clock, so it's
Sorry.
well, no, that's fine, that's fine. Thanks all for coming, and keep an eye on Facebook.